Hello, this is Kate Nabbs. I'm here at the Butler Museum in Butler, New Jersey. Today is June 4th, 2022, and I am here with my friend Tom Weaver, who's a longtime resident of the area, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what it was like in the past. Hello, Tom. And Tom is joined by his cousin Jean.
Hi, everybody.
So she'll be chiming in as well. And off camera, we have cousin Jack. So you may be hearing him chime in. So,
Love it, Jack.
first of all, can you please tell us, Tom, what year you were born?
1928.
1928.
Right.
Okay. And where were you born?
My mother and father were living on my mother's father's farm, which was called the Mandible Farm at that time. Originally, it was the Cutlass Plantation. That's the original name of it all. And the road that went by, it was also called Cutlass Road. So we lived when my mother and father got married, they were married on the lawn of my grandmother and grandfather's house, which is right on that map.
We have a picture of the house.
I would love to see a picture of the house. Could you show us, Jean?
Sure.
And this is the house that you were born?
Yeah. No, we don't have it here.
That's not the farmhouse?
Right, but that's where my mother and father were married.
Right.
Oh,
Out
sorry.
there.
Yeah, I had that wrong. So
Okay.
that's where they were married.
And,
No, I had it wrong too. Do
and
you have a
after
picture
they
of
got-
your?
Pardon?
Do you have a picture of the stone house? Is that where you were born?
No.
No.
The
Okay.
octagon house, the round house.
Oh.
I know that.
And that,
Yeah,
yeah.
It was
Do
a
you have
roundhouse?
Do you have a
It was-
picture of that?
The family called it the round house. It's
Yes.
actually an octagon house. It was built by my fourth great-grandfather.
Oh my gosh.
And,
It's a long time ago.
right, 1856, approximately 1856.
Okay.
And that great-grandfather had been living and had businesses in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason or other, this is just before the
Civil War.
Civil War, for some reason they moved out of New York City. And his wife didn't want to move out to the farm until he proposed to build her a new house on the farm. Then she agreed to move out when they out to the farm. So he built this octagon house. It was a fad of the day, those octagon houses. The guy's inventor's name of it was Fowler. I don't know what his first name is, but it was kind of a fad in them days.
That's cool.
To have an octagon house.
I'd like to live in one.
Well, there's a couple around in Boonton. There's some still
Really?
standing in Boonton, octagon houses.
That's so interesting.
Just looks the same as.
And you remember it. That's where you were born.
I remember seeing it when I was
Okay.
a child, when we would go
Wow.
visit Grandma when she lived with your mother. Remember when Grandma lived with your mother and father?
No, because I was overseas.
You were in the service.
I was
you
not
were in the
there.
Navy. Okay. Okay.
I wasn't there.
And the Octagon House was loosely located where Target or Home Depot
Right,
is
that's
now.
where-
Oh, is that right?
That's
Yes,
where
there
it's
was
at,
a
yeah.
Like right by, like on 23.
Yeah.
But
Right,
Did
it was-
Route 23 exist then?
Not when we lived there.
Okay.
It was Cutlass Road.
Cutlass Road.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So, and later on, my mother and father built a new house. They bought a 1 acre lot from my grandfather, and they built a new house there. That was a stone house.
Okay.
But first, where we first lived, when I was born, we lived in the Octagon house.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that.
that was, there was a pond right there. You had to, from the Cutlass Road to the roundhouse, it was quite a ways down. So,
And the
My-
stone house that your mom and dad lived in is still standing.
yeah, I think so. I haven't been there in a
As far as
while.
I know,
Wow.
it's still there.
Things.
It's still there.
Yes, and Aunt Emily's house is still there.
Gosh, I would like to go find it.
You just go
Really.
Cutlass Road as if you're going to see
Yes.
Crest, but you go straight up.
And you can find it.
It's right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
But,
Both of them houses are on the original Cutlass Road.
okay.
That would be the original
Okay.
road.
Before
up
they
there.
put in Route 23.
Right, before this
Okay.
23 went through.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's a map of the area that you have here
This is
Well, it's a map of 23.
of 23. Okay.
Where, how it went through.
the
Yes.
State Highway Department map.
Okay.
This is my grandfather's farm right here.
Okay.
The Octagon house would be over here. It's
Okay.
not on the map. That is not on the map. It's, further away from the highway.
Okay.
Well, it would be the pond. See, this is the pond.
Yes.
The Octagon house would be over here.
All right.
Way over here.
And for anyone watching the tape, I'm going to take a picture of the map and we'll attach it to the end of the interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific.
And any of these photos I would like to attach to the interview. Okay, so did you grew up on this farm?
Basically, yeah. There was a period where when I was very young, before I started school, is when we lived in the Octagon house. And then later on, my father worked, and I think he worked for the Grand Union Company, so he had a truck and everything. Well, it would be parked in the barnyard area, and it's quite a walk down. Well, one year in the winter, he fell on the ice and broke some of his ribs. After that, we moved away for a while.
Now, where did you live when you moved away?
It was called Lincoln Park. We lived, at that time, there was a big farm down there. It was called Parsons Farm. Today, it's, I forget what the name of it is, the development. I don't know if the house is still there or not. It was a cousin Warren Parker, Warren Parker's house. Actually, it was a farm, but they wasn't working a farm then. So I started kindergarten went to kindergarten down there.
Okay, in Lincoln Park?
Yeah.
Okay.
While we lived there, it was all a big swampy area, and I'm a kid in the back down in the swamp area. I found a black flint arrowhead about that big, about 6-7 inches long.
Wow.
So we had a show and tell in kindergarten. So I took it to kindergarten with me. They put it on show, and that's the last I saw of that.
Oh no!
Somebody got away with it.
Oh, that's too bad.
I wasn't very
Boo.
happy about it.
Oh.
So all I did was for school. I only went to kindergarten there. After that, in the meantime, my mother and father built the new house, the stone house, on 23.
Okay.
So then we moved up there.
Okay.
Again, I'm still back on the farm again.
Okay, so the same property but a new
Right,
house.
right.
Okay,
Just
so
on
that
the
way.
other side of the road. That's all.
All right, and your dad could
So-
park easily.
So maybe we were. I don't know how many years not too many years, because I only went to kindergarten there, so it couldn't have been
It probably
too many.
felt like a long
too
time.
many
You
years.
were little.
You know, between when they built the new house, it wasn't that long. Because actually, when we moved back, the highway wasn't even finished yet. I don't think.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many lanes were on the original highway? Was
How
it still, how many lanes? Was it one lane each way, or did they still have the 2 lanes each way?
It was just the way it is.
It is, okay.
Yeah, 2 lanes
Yes.
each way. Yeah.
But you could turn left, right? You could turn, not just U-turns then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
was nice.
Right. It's the same as it is today.
Okay.
You turn
Okay.
left. You go Cedar Crest.
Sure.
That's that's where that's
Yeah.
where the farm is.
cut
Where
out.
Cedar Crest was.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, so. Well.
So where did you go to elementary school next after kindergarten when you moved back to the farm and the stone house?
We walked 2 miles to Butler
Oh,
every day. So
Wow.
4 miles round trip.
wow. By
Bu-
yourself?
Well, at first my mother, I guess,
Yeah.
took, and then later on,
Walk 2 miles.
I used to. His mother and sister were going to school, so I walked with them.
So it's a gang of kids and you
They
would
were
walk.
My cousins, Lillian and Beatrice, and so
And how big, where was the Butler school? Is it where the high school is?
no, it was kind of mixed up. I think they rented different places in town. One was like a POS of A hall. Have you ever heard of that in
No.
Butler?
Mm-mm.
Really?
No.
Well, it was just off of. It would be the Kinneyone Road. What's that called? Kinneyone.
Keel Avenue?
Keel Avenue. It was on the bottom
okay.
of Keel Avenue.
Okay.
On the
I know what we were
on the
talking
right-hand
about.
side going down. Yeah.
Okay.
It was,
Kind of by the rubber mill?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the opposite side.
So that's-
Yeah, the mill would be on the left-hand side.
Yes.
Going down, I'm talking about.
Okay.
And that's P.O.S. Savoy Hall.
All right.
And they had a couple of classes there, and I went there for quite a bit, quite a few, 2 or 3 years, different grades. It was kind of interesting there. Yeah, the POS of A Hall, they had a bathroom there. It was kind of it was for the hall, and it was rented out to the school, so we used the bathroom for the hall. It was like a separate building, but everybody and their brother would be used. Even sometimes there would be drunks in there and
Oh.
everything else.
So it was like a public bathroom.
You're right.
You wouldn't see that now.
No. They have an armed guard.
Oh yeah, for sure. Wow.
There was another hole in another area. Yeah, I didn't go to that school. Later on, we went to later grades. It was up where the high school is, but they had temporary buildings there,
Okay.
and they were what were the lower grades went to.
They were temporary buildings,
yeah.
but they had like heat and stuff, right?
Pardon?
They had heat and water.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Was it one class per grade or more?
Well, basically, yeah, one class in I'm not sure. There was 2 grades, I think, in our the building. So, yeah.
Okay.
Later on, they were turned into the manual training where they had to, taught woodworking and stuff like
Yes.
that. Later on.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So you went to school with the same kids all the way through?
Well, eventually, see, we lived in Riverdale, so they had to pay our tuition to Butler.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, Riverdale rented a school bus from public service. The garage was right in Riverdale.
Okay.
So once I started the school bus up, that was the end of we couldn't go to Butler no more. We had to go to Riverdale.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yes.
So
then you went to Riverdale schools for a
Right.
while. Okay.
yeah.
But then you ended back up in Butler for high school.
Well, when you went to Riverdale school in Riverdale, when the 8th grade, when you graduated in the 8th grade, the kids in Riverdale had their choice. You could go to Pumpkin Lakes High School, or you could go to Butler High School. So you made your choice.
Okay. And which did you choose?
I chose Butler High School.
Now, why did you choose Butler?
Basically, because my whole family went to Butler. My mother went to high school there, and
Okay.
everybody else, her sisters and everybody. Oh, my aunt, your mother, ended up being a teacher in Butler.
Oh, boy.
So
Was she your teacher?
Pardon?
Not your teacher.
Well, she taught the same class I was going to, but
Okay.
they wouldn't let me go in her class.
Just as well.
They had to go into the other teacher's class.
Okay. All right. Very good. Now, did you have a best friend growing up?
Well, actually, I had no friends. In my younger years, nobody lived there.
You had cousins.
My cousins were.
They were your friends.
Right.
Did you ever get in trouble?
Not really.
You never did anything to get in trouble?
Later on, we had trouble. It got kind of convoluted.
Well, what did you do for fun when you lived on the farm?
Well, like I say, there was no early on. My two two cousins. That was it, and they were girls, so I had no boy.
It was limited.
A little later on, a family moved into. It was actually my grandmother's, where she was born and raised, in her house, which is nearby. I think that might be still there. It's right near the intersection of Mine Hill, Lead Mine Hill Road and Cutlass Road.
Okay.
There's a remnant of the road there too, and so they had a lot of children, and I was a buddy with the one boy. His name was Rex Bowman, and they lived there for a good many years.
But you never got in trouble.
I wouldn't say that.
I never got caught.
Living there at Route 23, we were, under the eyes of the state police, and they had, I forget what they were called. They were like a special police. They had white hats. I forget what they were called right now. Inspectors, like. They were. Anyway, they lived in Newfoundland, so they always rode 23, and we were,
Kept
we
you
were
honest.
right there. We were under their eyes, so to speak. So, we used to build. We'd come down. There was a hill, a really steep hill on the Cutlass Road, and that emerged out into 23. We built carts, or we old whatever baby carriages or whatever, with just as long as I had four wheels. We'd go like a rocket down the hill and then turn, at the intersection up.
Oh my
to
gosh.
slow down. But they didn't. The police didn't. They didn't like that.
No, I'm sure. But you were too fast for them to catch, right?
Yeah.
So
then after a while, there was Suntan Lake. That was a big thing there. That was right on the. That was a big going concern. So at one time they had a robbery there, and they were trying to link me and my buddy with robbing the place. We used to they sit in the police car and they'd grill us. They had they stole diamonds and guns. There were guns stolen, but we had
From where?
nothing to do
Suntan
with it.
Lake had diamonds and guns?
Pardon?
What were they doing at Suntan Lake that they had diamonds and guns?
Well, this was the caretaker.
Oh.
They had a caretaker there 24/7. So that was his place got robbed there.
Oh,
and that
I
was
see.
right across the road
right.
from us, So for some, I don't know how we got they figured. I guess we were an easy thing to try and pin this thing on. We had not a thing
You were
to do
right
with
there.
it.
You were
So-
there, yeah.
we were, that's where
Oh
we.
my goodness.
Was Suntan Lake actually on Mandeville property or Cutlass Plantation property?
No, that
Okay,
was
that was a little further.
that property where Suntan was owned by our grandmothers on our grandmother's side of the family.
Smiths. That was
That was the
Smiths.
Smiths. That was it. That was all owned by Garrett Smith, and he had 9 children. So it was divided
They were all girls.
eventually by when 23 went through. The 9 children inherited that.
And they were all girls, right?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
They had no boys at all.
Right.
It's
And
too bad.
some of them are buried in that little cemetery there in Faison Lakes.
Right up
Yes.
near where Jack lived.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
A bunch of them didn't get married.
Oh.
Smart women.
Yeah.
They were the 3 maids.
The old
Yeah,
maids.
the old maids.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
okay.
remember the old maids. Old maid Smith.
That's great.
Yep.
Now, what was it like to go to Butler High School when you did? What was high school like for you?
Well, actually, I liked high school. I took. I wasn't in a college thing, I took a lot of. They had, manual things where you carpentry and all things. I liked the. There was one. I had like I would say, 2 favorite teachers. One was Conklin. I forget his. Irwin Conklin. He was my one favorite teacher, and then the other, I forget his name.
What did he teach?
Manual training.
Did they have any car, automobile type classes, or was it mostly wood shop and building and stuff like that?
That was basically it.
Yeah.
But
Cars weren't very big yet, I
well, they would sometimes they would have a I don't know what you would call it. They bring a car that was like all taken apart,
Wrecked.
and they would show you how the car worked. It was all open, so you could see how everything worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's useful.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, were you in any clubs? Were there clubs at Butler High School?
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
what were you involved with?
I was I was chosen to be president of the one.
Wow.
It was called the Rod and Gun Club.
Okay.
So me and my buddy, we were always into hunting and fishing and everything. And actually, in the summers, my buddy and I, we always we build some kind of a structure somewhere in the woods, and we end up sleeping for the whole week in this
Wow.
hut or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Just sleep there, and then another week we moved to some other place.
Wow.
And a lot of times it was up on top of the mountain, where
That's great. You were allowed to do that.
yeah.
Now, did you have a girlfriend in high school?
No girl.
No girls. Okay. All right. Just wondering. Were there dances?
Pardon?
Were there dances at Butler High School?
I guess so, but I never went to it. I wasn't into that kind of
No. Did you play any sports, or just you were more of a hunter?
stuff. Yeah, I wasn't football or baseball or anything like that.
Nothing like that. But you love cars?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
When I went to high school, actually, I didn't. We had a bus. They bused us to high school, but I never rode on the bus because actually, I probably did early. I had to, but once I got my driver's license, I always drove my car. And we parked by the school.
And what kind of car did you have?
That was an old 27 Chevy Coupe.
Oh, wow.
27.
Okay. And you kept it going? You were able to fix it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cars when he was 12 years old.
You had cars at 12 years old?
Yeah. His father gave me a car. He bought a car
Yeah.
to teach his two daughters, his
That would be Walter, right?
mother, his
Your
mother and
grandfather.
her sister.
Yeah.
He bought this old Chevy.
Yeah.
It was a 28 Coupe,
Mm-hmm.
and he bought that for them to learn how to drive.
Mm-hmm.
So they had learned how to drive, and then it was sitting in my grandfather's barn and parked, in one of the sheds at the barn. So I guess my grandfather must have wanted them to get it out of there or something. Anyway, he ended up giving me the car.
At 12?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And did you drive the car?
Yeah.
Did you have a license, or you didn't need one then?
We had the farm.
The farm.
It was,
So wait a minute. So if you had a farm, you could just go for it?
there was roads all over.
Yeah.
And, basically, there was a pipeline. So you could run that for almost a whole mile, 1 mile, from one end to the other.
He isn't the only one that did race cars.
He did the same thing.
Oh my gosh. Really? Huh.
I had racetracks and everything up there.
Wow. Yeah, did you ever race cars?
Pardon?
Did you ever have a race with the cars?
Yeah, my buddy had his father, actually he took it over from his father, I guess. That was a big Buick, a 1928 Buick. So he'd leave me in the dust with a little four-cylinder. I think that was a big six-cylinder Buick, It was no comparison to the little Chevy.
I don't know.
Race motorcycles down 23.
What? Motorcycles? Did you race motorcycles down 23?
No.
Oh.
When I was in high school, I had my driver's license. I ended up buying, I guess it was a 26 Harley. It was called a JD. They used those motorcycles for hill climbs. They were called races up the hill. And on the pipeline, they actually did it. It was like a big
competition.
A lot of people would attend it and watch them. They had chains on the back wheels to go up.
Now,
Up
I
the
don't mean to
hill.
sound ignorant, but what's the pipeline exactly?
Well, that's still there today.
don't
That's a
know.
good landmark if you want to find
Yeah.
about places I'm talking about, because that was called the Newark Waterworks, and that's still there today. Actually, my grandfather helped cart the pipe in for it because it was on his farm. It went right through the farm. It split it in half, like.
And it was where they got the water from. Water came through the pipeline?
From Newark watershed down to the city of Newark.
Okay.
It went
So
all the
from
way.
West Mills?
I know where that is.
It's still in
yes.
use today. It's
I've
still
seen
there.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right. And so wait a minute, let's go back to the motorcycle. So you had the motorcycle and you raced it up the pipeline.
no, I just rode on the road. I didn't do any racing. I wasn't racing.
I wish you still had that motorcycle.
Pardon?
I wish you still had that motorcycle. That must have been so cool, right?
Well, my son has a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. Probably not from the 20s though. That's amazing.
No.
Wow. All right, so tell me, what year did you graduate from high school?
47.
47. Okay.
We should see if we can find a
Please
picture.
go. Okay. So you worked after school when you were in high school fixing cars?
Well, worked in the garage, yeah.
Okay.
The one was on Booton Avenue. I forget the name of it, but it was a Plymouth dealer. It was a woman that owned the company, and I can't think of her name. Basically, I wasn't. I was just beginning, I cleaned. I would
Yeah.
clean the cars, and so they used cars,
Okay.
so they would be ready for selling to sell. I clean them out and make work. Do that. And then another year I worked for Kochka Brothers.
I remember.
Now what's that? Is that cars too?
Well, that's a Ford dealer.
Okay.
They're still here, aren't they?
Oh, I don't know.
Kochka. In
Okay.
Actually, it's in Bloomingdale, just across the a couple blocks up from
Okay.
here. Yeah.
And you worked for them, and
Right.
that was still in high school you did that?
Right.
Okay. And then when you
That's why I
graduated?
did that.
Oh my goodness, what happened?
This is during the war,
Yeah.
and everybody was getting rebuilt engines for their Fords because they couldn't buy new cars then. So
Right.
They put a rebuilt engine. It was almost like a new car again.
Mm-hmm.
So all the hoists inside the garage were all busy putting engines in. So what happened was me and the mechanic were involved in putting an engine in out in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to use a wrecker.
A wrecker?
A
What's a wrecker?
A wrecker is what you
Or tow a car.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. I'm learning things today. All right. So what happened?
Well, I'm letting the engine down. You had to have it perfect to line up for the engine to put it into line up with the transmission.
Mm-hmm.
So the mechanic's lining it up, and I'm letting it down. And all of a sudden, I'm holding the crank.
Yeah.
The crank was a removable thing.
Oh.
It wasn't permanent. And I didn't realize that all of a sudden, and then that let the winch freewheel the whole, it's whining,
yeah.
and so I threw there was a dog to stop it.
Uh-huh.
But it didn't do it. I threw it in. That's when my finger caught it.
Oh.
It went through there.
Oh.
It went through the gear.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh.
But that was the end of that year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, you kept some of your
That was
fingers.
probably
so
in
that's good.
1943, I think. That
Oh.
was during the war.
Yeah. And you probably had to do a lot of extra work in the war, right? Because most of the men were gone fighting.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a busy time in the garages. Yeah.
For sure.
But like this was the only part time. I was going to school.
Right.
So when I graduated, the war was over with. Yeah.
So you went full time in the garage when you graduated?
That exactly. Yeah. I went to it was like a fair or something in Marsh Plains where they had all kinds of, like they have a country fair, and there was a car dealer there, the Ford dealer, and he was in Morristown, and I got talking to him, and I ended up getting a job with him.
Oh.
So I ended up working in Morristown, from
Okay.
Riverdale to Morristown.
All right.
I used to drive it every day.
Wow.
And eventually I quit because it was too far to drive. But I worked there for quite a while. Yeah.
But it was a lot of commute, right?
Then after that I went to Patterson, worked in Patterson.
Now, where did you work in Patterson?
Where? Well, it was another dealership. It was
Okay.
a Studebaker dealership on Market Street. It was called Supreme Motors. It was right across from the Buick. It was that was called Gasoline Alley. All car dealers all the way. And they also did you had the Hinchcliffe Stadium at that time in Patterson. And they used to have midget races in the Hinchcliffe Stadium.
Midget races?
Midget race cars.
Okay.
Little tiny people.
Got it. Okay.
And there was a dealer there that worked on the midgets. He had a special setup where he modified Fords for the midgets. And he had a special deal.
Did you get to work on those?
No, I didn't
right.
work for him. I worked for the Studebaker place.
Okay. All
But
right.
They were right nearby. He had a specialty where he changed the firing order of the 8-cylinder Ford engine. That would be a V8. Well, he changed the firing order so that the fire. It was changed to a 4-cylinder firing order. So you had 2 cylinders firing at the same time. It made them a faster engine.
Okay.
Much, yeah, that was it might have been, well, that was his principal thing,
Okay.
like an invention.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you learned how to do that?
No, I just heard about
Okay.
it. Our dealership was just nearby.
Okay.
That's
All
all.
right. Well, that's cool.
It was all on Gasoline Alley.
Now, during this time, you're still living in Riverdale?
Yeah,
Okay. And you were commuting into Patterson.
right.
Now, how did you meet your wife?
Well, it was actually in the same place where it was a group where they had the Grange Hall in Marsh Plains.
Okay.
Now it was off of Route 10, I guess, out there. So they used to.
What town were you from?
But he was in the service before.
Oh, wait a minute. You were in the service?
Yeah.
All right, we got to back up. Before the wife, you were. When did you join the service?
Well, after I was, I had a Class A card, a draft card.
Yes.
Class A.
Yes.
And I went for quite a few years. And eventually, in 1950 came along, and the Korean War started.
Oh dear. Yep.
So I was like number one for Korea, because, you know, I had this card for quite a while.
So they got you.
Right.
Okay. And you were in the Korean War?
I was in the service during the Korean War. I did not go to Korea.
Okay.
I went to Europe for replacements.
Okay.
Actually, that was the Cold War over there.
Yes.
So I was on the Iron Curtain, they call it.
Sure. Yes.
Iron Curtain.
And where were you stationed?
That would be the northernmost part of Adriatic Sea. It was called Trieste, and it was on the border of Yugoslavia.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
after the war, the Yugoslavs had their eyes set for, they wanted to annex northern Italy, and that's why we were there.
Okay. To protect Italy.
Right.
Yes.
It was part of the Iron Curtain that went all the way across Germany.
Yes.
It was all that was trade.
Okay.
But one time I went to school in Germany, and again we were right on the Iron Curtain. I pulled guard duty in Germany on the Iron Curtain
Wow.
too.
Huh.
That was it.
Now, how long were you in the service for?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That was our time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Well, actually, when you got out, you had to go in 6 years of inactive reserve.
Yep.
So it was 2 and 6.
Yes.
But that was.
And luckily, they didn't call you back up.
Huh?
Luckily, they didn't call you back up, right? When you were
Right,
reserved,
you were right
inactive
on the-
reserve. Yeah.
Yeah, a phone
Yes.
call away.
Yep, I know. Yep, we live that. So then you got out of the service, right? And then you got a job doing cars again or something different?
When I got out, I made it a change. I didn't go back into the garage work. I got a job with a place that was a machine shop. So that's where I worked there 40 and a half years.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Murata.
Right,
Murata
right.
Valve, right?
Now, where is that?
It's
That's
right
on Boonton Avenue.
Avenue, headed towards Boonton.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
Right there on the corner there.
Okay. And what did you fix machines? Is that what you were doing?
Actually, that machine shop evolved into aerospace work. So we did a lot of we did valve work for all kinds of rockets. When they had the Kennedy putting the man on the moon, we made rockets or valves for all that
Wow.
mechanism, all the space stuff.
Wow. That's cool to be
And
involved
I guess
in
they
that.
still do. I don't know.
Oh, it's still there?
Oh, yeah.
It's
Okay,
still there,
all
yeah.
right.
It's still there.
All right. So now let's get back to your wife. How did you meet her?
Well,
And what year? What year did you meet her? Oh boy. Here we go.
well,
Putting them on the coals.
We can phone a friend if you want.
We can ask Carol.
first of all, I met her at the what was that
Great.
town?
Morris
What
Plains?
town is that called there?
Well, it actually
Persephone. Persephone Grange, the Grange. And they had a hall, and they used to have square dances at that hall.
Oh,
So
fun.
I went to the square dance
Yes.
as a single guy,
Okay.
and I started dancing with her.
But the thing was,
Yes.
I worked with a gentleman in Dover in a municipal building, and his daughter was married, and he married a friend of Tom's.
Oh.
Tom was in the wedding, so I saw his picture.
Okay.
So when I saw him in Persephone, I knew who he was.
Okay, and did you like his picture? You liked what? Yes, okay, very good. And was he a decent square dancer?
Yeah.
Okay, so that helps. Well, that's really fun. Okay, and then you started dating after that?
Yeah.
Okay, and do you remember the year you got married?
53.
Four.
54.
4.
So that would mean you're married how many years now?
68, something like that.
68 years.
It's
Good
almost
Lord.
like the Queen and her
Yes.
reign over
Right, 70 years.
Woo! I just made 25. It just about killed me. Huh. All right. So then where was your first house after you got married? Are you still on the farm or did you go somewhere else?
There was like, my father had an apartment in our house in Riverdale. So
Mhm.
it was
Stone
at the
house.
same, in the stone house.
Okay.
We had an apartment upstairs. At
Wow.
first.
Oh, that's neat.
And then a few years later,
We bought property.
a few years later, while I was working at Murata, there was a real estate company across the street, and for somehow a reason, I was over there, and I heard them talking about a piece of property in Rockaway Township, and I went over and I looked at it, and I ended up buying it. It was like 23 acres
Oh, gosh.
in Rockaway Township. And it had 2 buildings on it. Some were bungalows. So I ended up converting the one for a year-round house. And then we lived there for quite a few years. And
Okay.
eventually, that was right on Route 80.
Wow.
It was the first section of Route 80.
Oh, my goodness.
In there.
Before Route 8
It went
was
from
through.
Wow.
Denville to Route 15.
Were you there when they put in Route 80?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they went right through our property, yes.
Oh, my God. And you didn't have a choice?
No.
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 Huh.
No.
So.
Wow. I'm sorry. So then, did you stay there or did you end up moving?
Actually, the taxes got horrendous, and so I ended up selling the property to a developer,
Mm-hmm.
and then that developer ended up selling the property to the town. So that's where the police station, the library, the town hall is all there on that property. Well, when I sold it, I subdivided a 1-acre lot, so that's where I live right now.
That's really interesting. You've lived in so many different places that became something really kind of
Yeah,
important.
yeah, right.
Wow. Huh. And it was great foreshadowing almost, or prediction that you bought that, all those acres
Well,
in
that's how
Rockaway.
things have developed, evolved. Everything
right.
evolves. Nothing
Yes.
stands still, right?
No, it's true. What do you think the biggest change that you've seen over the area is in all these years?
Population.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think there's so many people in the area now?
Well, New Jersey's the highest populated place in the world, I think, except for China or something. I think we're right on the...
Mm-hmm.
It's just full of people.
It is. Do you?
Picatinny was a big employer.
Who was?
Picatinny.
Oh, Picatinny, yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
employer.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to come by our house every day at 4:30, the whole line, everybody
Leaving,
in
yeah.
Rockaway and Dover.
Oh,
worked
my
at
gosh.
Picatinny.
You're
Wow.
right. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Over here, we don't think about it so much. So.
You're thinking of rubber mill, because everybody works.
Yeah, it was.
in
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Or
true.
New York City.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's close.
Now, speaking of the rubber mill, do you have any memories of the fire at the rubber mill?
Oh yeah, I remember when it was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
It burned all winter long. I
Mm-hmm.
guess they couldn't put it out.
No.
It had to burn out basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a soft rubber mill.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The hard rubber mill didn't burn.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you...
When that burned, we were living in Riverdale.
Oh, so could you see it from where you were living?
Oh no,
No, okay.
actually, but the rubber mill, the soft rubber mill, had a dump, and Butler had a dump. The two were right together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it's like apartments or something there, but there were big, huge dumps right there,
Wow.
right on 23.
Right. Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
Huh.
Yeah.
yeah.
Morris Ave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Huh.
I spent time in that dump.
You spent time in that dump.
What are you doing in the dump?
Another story.
Oh, that's a
bowling
story
balls
for-
down Oh, boy. See, I think we need another session just with
Oh,
Jack.
yeah. There's all sorts of stuff in
All
that dump.
sorts
You're
of
next,
stuff.
sir.
There was a big rubber rat in there. He after I shot him,
Oh.
I pulled up with no hind end.
Oh,
Oh.
gosh.
Oh, my goodness.
But he survived.
I guess because he was calling himself up to
Mm.
the
Now, Tom, you have other pictures in here. What else would you like to share with me?
Well, I got a picture. My mother painted a picture of the whole place. I could show you that.
I would love to see that.
Well,
And
that's
I
a
think
very
I
nice
think
picture.
you should read that into the. I think that's fascinating.
I would like to read this, yes. Unless Tom wants to read it himself.
You wrote that yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
We're going to have you
He's quite-
share this.
I feel he has quite a talent for
Mm-hmm.
right. I mean, just read that, and it's.
So I'll tell you what,
I love it.
for the audience at home, I'm going to read this. This is something that Tom wrote about his childhood as he's looking through the pictures because he's going to show us some visuals. But here we go. And this is recollections of his childhood. The sights and sounds and smells on the Cutlass plantation during spring and summer. Let's start with the
There's a picture
peepers.
somewhere.
In the spring, it was a chorus of sleigh bells nonstop. The smell of the honey locust filled the air with sweetness. Later, the blackberry bushes were sweetening the air. Last of all, I cannot forget the whippoorwills in the evening. They sound as if they were right in the bedroom. Life at the roundhouse. I remember my mother pulling me on a sled on the pond. She had ice skates on. Wow. Another time, I remember my mother grabbing a 5-pound bass out of the brook barehanded. There had been a flood. I remember my father shooting at the foxes to keep them away from the chicken coop. Huh. Can you imagine grabbing a bass? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Tom, who is this right here?
That's me.
That's what? That's you? And this says 1931. Yeah. Oh, so
he was
cute.
3 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Adorable. Okay. Now, who's this?
Huh?
That's Carol and Tom when they were married. Well, going together, I guess.
Wow. All right. So this is Tom and his wife, Carol, back in their courtship days. A handsome guy.
It's courtship.
When we were going on our honeymoon.
Oh, so Carol said this is right after they were married. They're leaving for their honeymoon. Carol, where did you go on your honeymoon?
We went to Cape Cod.
Oh, Cape Cod. Beautiful. Lovely. Oh my gosh. So beautiful. So young. How old were you when you got married? 19.
Oh my I
Oh my goodness.
That's
Wow.
where Tommy is.
Now who is
For
this?
you,
That's
too.
my mother.
But I remember that's for Tommy.
So this is Tom's mother on the horse.
That's on the farm.
And she must have been quite a lady. I can imagine, like, if she pulled the bass right out of the water. Oh my goodness.
oh wow.
This,
And that
my mother painted this.
This looks like a photograph.
his mother was very
It's
artistic.
painted. I got a picture somewhere, but I can't find it right now.
The Octagon House would be over here yet.
It might be.
Okay,
in
so
that
like this
book.
area
It
here.
might be in
Okay.
that book.
All right, and that's where the octagon
more or
house would
less,
be.
more or less over this way.
Oh, over here. Okay.
Oh yeah, right.
Huh.
It's not a. Well, it's a shame.
That's that picture we got.
Want me to get it out?
Now what's
That's
this?
That's the same picture.
But
This
that's
is the
if-
barn.
Okay.
And this is the pond. This were 23. This 23.
Okay, here, let me
That's
show
the
the.
Cutlass Road right there.
Okay. So here we go, folks. That's the barn, and that's the pond, and here is where Route 23 went. Can you imagine? And you said this is the site of like where Target and BJ's is
Right.
now in
And
Staples.
Cedar Crest. Cedar Crest is
That's,
on the
Okay.
other
actually,
side.
that's really where Cedar Crest
That's
is.
where Cedar Crest
Yeah.
is because this is Route
Octagon
Where the
23.
House.
pond is
Yeah.
where
That's where the Octagon House
That's
was, and
Home
that's
Depot.
where, yeah, Home Depot, and
Where the pond
Where
is.
the
So they
pond
did they
is.
fill in the pond?
they
must have.
pipe. The water runs through pipes. It's
they
piped.
diverted it.
Yeah,
diverted-
They
have to-
diverted the
there's
water in the
a lot of
pond.
Springs there. It has to run. So it's all
right.
pipes now. It's all
So
piped away.
for
It
anyone-
eventually runs into the Pagarnic River.
So anyone looking at this is the site. This pond is where Home Depot now sits. It's so crazy to think
Isn't
about. I
it?
can't even get my head around it.
There
It's
used
so-
to be
you know
three
what?
lakes
It's
there.
so
You had
sad.
Suntan Lake,
Uh-huh.
Island Beach,
Right.
Valley Spring.
All gone? All diverted? Because I don't know any of
Valley
them.
Spring is
Valley-
gone too, because now that's
all the houses,
the
yes,
Grand.
the Grand,
That's the
yeah,
Grand.
yeah.
And I learned how to swim there, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
they would bus us from Pequannock. It was probably, I don't know what it was. It was early in the morning. It was freezing cold. And of course, you had a buddy. You couldn't take your swimming lesson unless your buddy was with you. I wouldn't go in that water, so I don't think my buddy ever learned to swim. I didn't learn to swim. It was
Oh,
just too
no.
cold.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm with
my
you.
gosh.
Yeah.
Because it was all spring fed. I mean, it was,
Right,
it was,
yes,
and it was early
yes.
in the morning. It was ridiculous.
That's like Stony Brook is so cold.
Yeah,
It's
well,
gotta be.
yeah, because you've got the river
Yes, it
going
goes
in.
right through. Yeah.
And Tom's sister, Margaret, tried to teach me how to dive. She was
Yes.
she was a teacher, but she taught phys ed, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually,
And
she was in a swimming team when she was younger.
Was
They
she?
were- yeah.
Yeah, well,
So she was a great swimmer.
yeah.
Right.
I
Okay.
dove in once. I took a mouthful of water, a nose full of water. I said, "No, that's not."
Huh.
I can doggy paddle.
Now what's this outfit?
That's a pretty interesting thing for Butler. That's Jake's Hayseeders, and they're all from Butler. All the
Okay,
whole band.
and they're a
That's
band?
It's a band.
That's before Country West. That's a
You know them?
country western band, and they were all from Butler.
Yeah, a lot of two Cooks, George Cook, Roy Cook, King Hiller.
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
And there's a Haycock here.
yeah.
And
Yeah. Hollis. Wow.
they WOR. They did. I think
Police
somehow or
chief?
other they got involved with WOR, and they wanted to perform in New York,
Mhm.
but the band members didn't want to do that.
Okay.
They probably would have become much more popular if they'd have went to New York, but they didn't
said
want
no.
to do it.
They were all working
They
local.
liked to stay where they were.
Now what's this?
That's my grandfather's ice wagon.
Okay.
He had two businesses. One was dairy, and he sold. He had a milk route that took over the whole Butler. He was a milkman for the whole town of
Your
Butler.
grandfather
and
was.
then part of Bloomingdale also.
Okay.
But at the same time, he also had an ice route.
Okay.
In the summer, he sold ice and spring water.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, who are these two gentlemen?
I don't know. They were hired.
Kind of good-looking guys.
Yeah.
Hired hands.
Just saying.
And is this the picture you think was taken in front of
that's
the hotel?
That's a Park Hotel right
Oh.
here.
Yeah.
Part of the. Yeah, this picture was
Delivering.
taken facing the Park Hotel.
Okay, so here, let's look again. So I guess they're delivering ice to the Park Hotel.
And spring water.
And you may and spring water, and you may remember the Park Hotel is where Thomas Edison stayed
My
whenever he
Way
would be
back.
passing through.
My grandfather
Probably
had
drank the
a.
spring water.
It's a small world.
no.
Yeah, uh-huh.
My grandfather had an office in the Park Hotel where you could leave your order for ice or water at the office.
Wow.
In the Park Hotel.
Okay, perfect. And he needed that, so yeah, because
Yeah.
he's in the farm. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
And that was Jacob Mandeville.
John Jacob, yeah.
Okay.
John Jacob Mandeville.
Okay.
That's on his mother's side of the family, as it's on my mother's side.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
the Mandevilles.
So tell me this, if there's anything you would do to change the area right now, what would it be?
To change it?
Yep.
Get rid of all the people.
That's fair. There's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the traffic.
I really don't have a prognostication on anything like that.
Okay. I think I would say get rid of the traffic.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so you've seen a lot of changes over the years.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Well, especially if, you saw Route 23 and Route 80 come through. And how about 287? You would have
Exactly. Yeah.
experienced that. And I think 287 really opened things up once that came all the way through.
Right.
All right, any final words before we end our interview?
No.
No? All right. So, yeah.
It was nice to do this.
It was very nice to do this. And if there's anything you think of later that you want to add, Jean can tell me, and we can always put it in at the end, or
okay.
I would be happy to talk with you again if you wanted.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to actually work on Jack. I'm going to get him next. I want to hear more about the rats in the dump.
Oh! When you went there, where the garbage, especially, this is where the garbage part of the dump, Butler part, where the
Yeah.
garbage. If you went there and just went quiet up there, and you got close enough, the rats were so thick it was like
God.
the whole world would move. The whole thing was covered with rats, thick as hair on a
I'm
dog's
so
back.
glad
I
You
hate
could not
rats
believe
so
it.
much.
Pick
It's
up
my
You would
garbage.
almost get seasick from the rats running.
And then what would you do? Just like take your gun and get them, right?
Well, not me, but a friend of mine. Actually, actually, I ended up buying.
Remember this?
I ended up buying the gun that he used.
Oh gosh.
Oh boy.
I think
That's
his,
what I'm wondering. Yeah.
I think his name was
man.
Woody Ball. He was from Woody.
Woody Ball.
Famous.
Yeah.
You know him?
Boy,
All right.
Ball's famous.
So on that note, we are going to sign off on the interview. I would like to thank Mr. Tom Weaver for talking to me today. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.